So let's talk about another huge influence in Silent Hill, The Shining. Stephen King's The Shining is a story of a family, Jack, Danny, and Wendy Torrance. Jack takes the job of winter caretaker in a massive hotel deep in the mountains of Colorado. The hotel is a dark past that the family uncover as Jack goes more and more insane under the influence of evil spirits within the hotel. The biggest influence this movie/book had on Silent Hill seems to be on the spiritual presence. Now, what the hell is a spiritual presence exactly? Well, it's the most vitally important thing in all of Silent Hill. We learned in Silent Hill 2 and 4 that before any Europeans arrived, Silent Hill was known to the local Native Americans as a spiritual hot zone. At the Nakihona, or Mother Stone as it was later called, the Indians and later the cult could interact with the spiritual presence in the town. What I've interpreted this to mean is that Silent Hill is a spiritual estuary. An estuary is a place where freshwater and saltwater meet and mix together. Silent Hill is a place where the mental, spiritual dream world can pour into and merge with the real world. Originally, the Force could only show people harmless visions. But when a psychic child's powers are mixed into that, the visions and powers of the spirits become very real and very threatening. Exactly like it was in The Shining. But none of what I said actually answers what exactly is a spiritual force. Is it Native American spirits? Indians are mentioned in both The Shining and Silent Hill. No, the Force was coterminous with the Indians. Was it a dark, evil god? No, that only existed once the cult arrived in Silent Hill. The spirits were there before it, right? The spiritual presence was corrupted and darkened by the cult and their dark practices and the evil practices of the town. Was it the old gods, as James Sunderland mentioned in one of the endings to Silent Hill 2? We never get a clear answer, or even get close to one, and that's a good thing. Silent Hill, the game, seems to take a cue from the Shining movie rather than the book. In the movie, the bizarre ghostly presence they overlook is never explained. We go in never really getting any idea what the ghost's motivations were or how they came to exist. Only Dick Halloran's mention that some people shine and some people don't. Just like places, some people shine and some people don't. We don't have a reason. Tragically, the book and the made-for-TV remake of The Shining give the ghosts something that they don't need. They give them a goal. The ghosts desire or want something. That makes them so much less mysterious. We can get to grips with someone or something that has a clear goal or desired outcome. We can understand their actions and why they do the things they do. And to make matters worse, their desire is to take over the world. Silent Hill thankfully avoids all of that and makes the spiritual force ineffable and unknowable. At times it leaves messages for James Sunderland. They are simultaneously taunting and helpful. Can the spiritual energy be said to want anything in the conventional sense? It's hard to say and is handled much more intelligently in the movie in Silent Hill. Both the book and Silent Hill 1 have the threat of the nightmare being spread outward into the world around them. Instead of just the Overlook or Silent Hill, the entire planet could turn into a world of nightmarish delusions brought to life. But the demon and its cult wanted the world to be turned into a hellscape, not the spirits behind it. That was just something corrupted by the cult. Making the ancient energy capable of that decision in the book undermines the alien sense of horror we should have when examining the occult. Silent Hill stole it directly, but they made better use of it, so I'm willing to let them get away with that. Another major aspect stolen directly from The Shining is the boiler, and this is another unusual case where the thief uses the material more successfully than the original creator. An annoyance during the book and TV movie of The Shining is the stupid boiler subplot. Jack's primary job as caretaker is to heat various rooms of the hotel at different times during winter to prevent them from freezing over. Because of his looming insanity/possession, he neglects this, causing the boiler to come dangerously close to exploding. This plotline is frankly dull and distracts from the one thing that makes great horror: atmosphere. A seething, chaotic, incomprehensible madhouse is what we see in the Shining movie. But in the book and TV movie, we see a ticking time bomb like some silly suspense film. Kubrick knew, like the makers of Silent Hill, that horror is about shocking visuals, creepy mood, and a vague sense of unease. Not a hidden bomb that must be defused. The exploding boiler is central to the book's final scenes, but Kubrick wisely discards it. We can actually sense in the film Kubrick becoming bored while reading. He has a few characters briefly discussing or interacting with the boiler, while the camera fades away to something more interesting. The plot of Silent Hill 1 starts with the evil cult led by Dahlia Gillespie trying to impregnate her daughter Alessa with the dark god or demon they worship. Silent Hill mixes the exploding boiler subplot of The Shining with psychic powers gone haywire in Carrie when Alessa's telepathic ability rages out of control during the impregnation. As her powers explode and seethe, so too does the antiquated boiler in the bowels of the Gillespie home. A fire starts and she is horribly burned, and all of this happens off-screen and must be pieced together later. Team Silent was so creative they managed to take an uncomfortable, irrelevant subplot and turn it into one of the most fascinating parts of Silent Hill. I went off a bit on The Shining at the end there, but really it was an enormous influence on Silent Hill. The first game in particular was clearly influenced by Stephen King's cold, virtually empty buildings, landscapes shrouded in fallen snow, isolation, and impending madness. Both the book and the Kubrick movie are great and easy to obtain cheaply. I think the movie is actually better than than the book, though, in this case. It contains a lot of the fat trimming the story needed, along with much-needed improvements to the horror plot elements, making them more eerie and less directly frightening. The movie is much more sly and subtle about its horror, creating a murderous atmosphere filled with bizarre ghosts and sudden, shocking images. A lot like in Silent Hill. One undeniable thing the book has that the movie lacks is a sense of time. Just like the game, the book version of The Shining makes you feel like you are spending months trapped within a snowy, forgotten world, unknown to anyone outside, with evil creatures surrounding you. You can't get that in a comparatively short film, so reading the book and watching the Kubrick movie are essential to understanding the Silent Hill games, especially the first one. But avoid the TV miniseries, because you'll be seeing silly things like...
We are the topiary creatures. We're very pleased to meet you. Senors and senoritas too. The animals we feature. You know would never eat you. We sing so very sweet to you. Welcome to the zoo. Zoo, zoo. With the kangaroos. Roos, roos. And the tigers too. Too, too. Welcome to the zoo, zoo, zoo. So show them some reliance. Come in and see our clients. Do not be the giant yaks.